22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. Today, and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it.
Peace, and blessings, everybody. This is Damon K. Jones here, the publisher of Black Westchester Magazine, and my partner in crime, AJ Woodson, the editor-in-chief. And I got my grandbaby here. I don't know what she's doing, man, but she just watching Pop do his thing. Say hello. Say hello to everybody. Say hello. Say hello. Say hello. Say hello. All right, now you out. So welcome to the show. And we decided to do this show because we had to have this conversation. Because what we have been reporting for the last month or so, and we're live. We're live on. Let me shout out to everybody that's watching on Instagram. This is our first time live on Instagram. Peace and blessings to everybody on Instagram. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Facebook, and we are live on Instagram. And it is good to be here, and it's good to give an information with the Black point of view. And as I was saying, for the last month or so, we have been following what's going on in the Congress primary, or candidates that are running against sitting Congressman Jamaal Bowman. And the first Black man to have that position. And we have seen some statements from the supporters of George Latimer, which made us question, is this going to be a racist campaign? Now, we're not saying George made these statements. We are being clear that his supporters have made these statements. And we wanted to make sure that we hold everybody accountable. We hold everybody accountable for what is being said. Now, one thing is, we just can't have a one-sided campaign. And another thing is, we can't allow money to come in this campaign that's from Republicans. Now, I remember, I don't know what changed. Maybe somebody tell me, put it in the comments, that the way they tell Black people, don't associate with Republicans. Andre Wallace, when he took the Republican line in Mount Vernon, they chopped his head off just for taking the line to stay in the election. They chopped Andre Wallace's head off.
Well, let me clear. He wasn't just he was on the Democratic line. He also got the Republican line. He lost the Democratic primary, and he continued to run the race on the line that he had, which is the Republican line. And they tried to say that he was a Republican, and they tried to attach him to Trump, and they tried to a massive smear campaign against him.
They didn't try.
Well, they did.
They didn't try.
No, they did. They did. So I want to be clear. This show is a lot bigger than Jamaal Bowman. This show is about the attempted GOP takeover of the Westchester Democratic Party. You have several organizations that are MAGA GOP, Trump supporters, vowing to put massive amount of money in this election to defeat Jamaal Bowman. You have Republicans getting involved in the Democratic primary to try to sway the vote. And they're putting millions of dollars into it. And if the Democrats, and I've seen Democrats make excuses. I just got one from Lisa saying, oh, there's not enough Republicans in Westchester for them to take over the Democratic Party. Well, guess what? Go do your research in the last 10 years worth of elections. Democrats have been voting having lower and lower and lower turnout in every election. So when you add massive amount of money involved, and they couldn't take over, but they can tip the scales and influence, and they should not be able to have any influence in the Democratic primary. Then I heard another person say, well, New York State is a closed primary state. And yes, I agree that I'm not with closed primaries. And as opposed to any candidate in the Democratic Party taking MAGA Republican money to defeat a sitting Democrat, you should do what David and I have been doing for the last 10 years and fight for open primaries. That's how you handle that.
Right.
That's how you deal with that.
Right. Which the Democrats and the Republicans are against open primaries, but yet they do this backdoor dealing where they're telling Republicans and independents, let's take out Jamaal Bowman, and sooner or later I'm going to post the cards that they're giving out. And not only that, man, I want to go through. There's a gentleman. If I could find the screen here. Keep talking, AJ. Let me find something.
So I wrote a little editorial as a prelude to this, and here's some of the things we're addressing. So you got groups like AIPAC, which is the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, which once we called that out, we heard from so many people, oh, they're not a PAC, they're organization. Yes, that is true, but two things can be true. That organization started a super PAC. And if you go to their website, and I have the link on my article, it touts itself as the largest pro-Israel PAC in America. So yes, they are a PAC. Then you have the District PAC, a Westchester-based political action committee that handed out cards just this past Thursday at a Scarsdale on the Scarsdale-New Rochelle border. The cards say in bold letters, defeat Jamaal, and under that, make the switch. And then they're encouraging Republicans registered as Democrats to vote against Bowman in the June Democratic primary. AIPAC is threatening, the AIPAC PAC, Super PAC, is threatening to spend $100 million to unseat every member of the squad, including Jamaal Bowman. Then you have
the Teach Coalition.
Huh?
The Teach Coalition, which is putting $1.6 million in this primary to defeat Jamaal Bowman. And they also have a website I'm going to get to all that. They also have a website that says community over party. See, when you make statements like that, you don't give a damn about anybody else. When you say community over party, you're just talking about your community. But what happened to the rest of the ethnic groups in District 16? You have Hispanics, you have Italians, right? You have Anglo-Saxon whites, you have blacks, you have Ecuadorians. So what happened to them? We don't matter if it's community over party? See, black people never have the nerve to say anything like that because we still slave mind to the Democratic Party. They're not slave mind. They're saying their community comes before the party. And y'all Democrats don't even see it. And they're going to put $1.6 million in to take out a black man that have brought over $250 million to the district. See, this is the problem with black people. We don't unify. They can do it. And they're doing it, and they're doing it boldly. To the point that one of them even called Jamaal Bowman un-American. So now we're using this MAGA language in supporting George Latimer and to take out a black man. We ain't never saw this in the history of politics in Westchester County.
So then you have Jonathan Harris, a member of the New Rochelle Synagogue, who sent out an email urging synagogue's Republicans members to change their party before the primary so they can vote for Latimer. And I quote, "If you are a registered Republican voter, you are not eligible to vote in the all-important Democratic primary," Harris says in his email. It is critically important that if you are a registered Republican, at least for this election, you should re-register as a Democrat so you can vote in the primary against Bowman. Now, I'm going to say a couple of things. Like I said, first off, this is bigger than Jamaal Bowman. And Jewish people have the right to fight for whatever they want to fight for. But they call for all of us to join them in their fight. They label everything anti-Semitic if you don't join them. But a lot of these Jewish leaders who want to tout that they were involved, that their people were involved in the civil rights movement, here in Westchester have been visibly absent when anti-Black situations have happened. They've been visibly absent when Kenneth Chamberlain Sr. was killed, murdered by the White Plains Police Department, called a nigger, yes, and his military record, he was a Marine, his military record was mocked. The DA didn't think it was a hate crime, and actually Janet DeFiore, and actually what she said, not only wasn't it a hate crime, it was a tactic that the police were using so they can take down his door and into his premises, which they weren't supposed to do because they went there for a wellness visit, not for a criminal call. But I didn't see the Jewish community who calls for us to all step up. Now, what happened on October 7th, I shouldn't have to say this because I've said this before, was horrendous. The act by
Absolutely.
Hamas was horrendous. I've stood on that, and I shouldn't have to say that, but I do have to say that because that will be thrown out there. So, and a lot of innocent people were killed in Israel. But Israel's attack of Gaza, the attack of Hamas, has also killed a lot of innocent Palestinians, took out schools, hospitals, that that everybody in Palestine, everybody in Gaza is not part of Hamas. There's been a lot of innocent people killed. And when anybody calls for an end of the killing of all innocent victims and has the nerve to be bold enough to speak for empathy for the killing of innocent people on both sides, a lot of people in the Jewish community, not all Jewish people, but a lot of their leaders are quick to call that person anti Semitic because they're calling for the end, the ceasefire, call for a ceasefire and the end of all of this. It is we should have empathy for what happened to Israel. A lot of innocent people got killed, but way more innocent people got killed in response by Israel, including Palestinian Christians. Let me repeat that again. Include for all you black pastors out there, including Palestinian Christians who have nothing to do with this. Babies are dying because the hospitals have been bombed. Churches and synagogues, places of worship are being bombed, where people who lost their houses, that was their only safe haven. So to speak up for them is not anti-Semitic. Let's be clear about that. Let's be very clear about that. So if someone feels that there should be a ceasefire or a two-state solution,
Oh, sure.
that does not make you anti-Semitic. Some of these things are the things that Jamaal Bowman has said. He said other things, but these are some of the things that he has said that they have called out and labeled him anti-Semitic. We have to stop with these labels. We have to stop being so overly sensitive. Sometimes some things are true, they're not anti-Semitic. And again,
First of all, a black man can't be anti-Semitic.
right, a lot of my Jewish brothers and sisters,
Let's get clear.
right, a lot of my brothers and sisters are always calling for. I had these conversations with a lot of Jewish leaders here in Westchester. They're calling for everyone to have empathy for what they're going through. And I always ask them, when is it going to be? When are we, as black people, going to get that empathy from them for all that we're going through? When people are killed by the police, black people are killed by the police, all the systematic racism and all the stuff that happens here in Westchester against black people, where are they to come support us? They want us to support them. When are they going to come support us?
Well, we're just, but
And I'm not saying they shouldn't get support. Let me be clear. I'm not saying because they didn't support us, we shouldn't support them. I'm just saying when
hate should be denounced in any forms. Hate should be denounced in any forms. But it becomes a problem when you see imbalanced support, right? George is out there because of a swastika, which was drawn, I think, on a store.
On a dumpster in a
no,
another.
This is the second time a swastika was drawn on a dumpster.
No, okay, it was just a store this time. Last time it was a dumpster.
Last time it was a dumpster.
And every black leader and everybody came out.
Exactly.
And those same people didn't come out for Kenneth Chamberlain.
Wait a minute.
Or anybody else.
Let me make my point. This time, George was out there. He was out there denouncing hate. But Kenneth Chamberlain for 12 years has a candlelight vigil in front of the police department where them cops call his father a nigger, not one time, not two times, but three times on audio, and killed him. And George has yet to go to one candlelight visual. See, this
or
is
make a statement,
huh?
Or make a statement as far as I've seen. I don't think
no. He should show up like he shows up to a swastika on a building, on a door. Kenneth Chamberlain Sr. lost his life. He lost his life and was called the word nigger by police. But it's easier for you to go there than to stand with Kenneth Chamberlain Jr. and the supporters. See, sometimes we want the same level of love that everybody else get. See, because when you give it in balance, people look at that and people watch that. So we want it to be fair, but right now it's not fair because we see how you treat others, then you treat us. And don't think we're just saying it because everybody's talking about it. And as I told Ken Jenkins, they might not talk about it in your face, but they're talking. And the ones that ain't gonna say nothing have to get something from the county, and maybe they're appointed and they got jobs and they got family members working for the county, so they're not gonna say anything. But they're talking. So we had to ask the question, because when we see this blatant, it's like voter suppression, because you're putting people that don't even have democratic morals or values, anything. You're telling them to join the Democratic Party.
I want to, before you get, for those people who said, because I got comments just now, and comments on the website saying that there's not enough Republicans in Westchester County for them to take over the Democratic Party. So this wouldn't be the first time, and I write this in my article, that Republicans try to take over another political party. In Westchester County alone, just 11 years ago, in October 2023, the Westchester Independence Party had to file a suit against then County Executive Rob Astorino and other defendants for his campaign attempting to win the party nomination by coercing dozens of staff members, political associates and friends, and family members to switch their party affiliations to the Independence Party. 8 months later, in June 2014, State Supreme Court Justice Robert DeBella ordered the removal of 3,700 Republican names from the rolls of the Independent Party. 3,700 people is enough to sway and influence an election in Westchester County. For those who, sometimes you got to look at what's already been done. This has been done already by the Republican Party, and this was before Trump. This is before the MAGA Republicans. This is in 2013, 2014. This has already been done, that the Independence Party had to then go to court and file and prove that all these Republicans joined the party, and this was so they could affect the Democratic Party and then help Rob Astorino win another term as county executive. So listen, now moving forward, if you listen, you can't listen to the radio or the news to listen to how the MAGA fraction is going on, all the stuff that's going on now with the Republicans following the Trump cult, and how they're trying to take over everything, including the Senate, the House, and the presidency. This seat, bigger than both George Latimer and Jamaal Bowman. This seat, this act will divide Democrats and make it easier for a Republican to come in for them to turn over that seat as well. Now you're looking at the control of the House. You understand what I'm saying? Like this is bigger, and to accept this money coming in from the groups that I mentioned, and then there was what's the man's name? GOP donor Alex Dubitsky, Dubitski, a supporter of former President Trump, hosting a fundraiser for George Latimer. Yo, this money coming in to influence the election. We can't now. I'm not saying everybody should vote for Jamaal Bowman. Some of y'all just don't like him and don't think he did a good job. That's your right. But the Democratic voters should make that decision. There should not be Republican influence to sway. 3,700 voters is what they did before in the county. That's enough to sway an election one way or another, to take it out of the hands of the Democratic registered voters for their will to be done. And you can't accept this now because maybe you are a pro George Latimer person and think once they've accomplished this, they're going to stop. They're going to take over your party. They're going to influence New York State's, Westchester County vote in the presidential election and all the local elections. You have to wake up. It's time to wake the fuck up to what's going on, for real. You're muted yourself, I guess, because I can't hear you, Damon. You must be muted.
There you go. Yeah, I told that. I told that to King Jenkins. I said, well, if they pull this off,
right, against
what makes you think they ain't gonna come after your black behind?
Right, against
you
the
can't
one
sit here and allow the first black congressman to be taken out in these type of schemes, and don't think that they're gonna come after you. See, because then it's gonna show that black people don't put community over party as they do. They have no problem putting community over party. See, we have a problem with unity because black people have a lot of self-hate. We hate to see the next man doing something that we want to do. So we have a lot of self-hate. So we don't put community over party. We just give people our vote. We don't even ask for nothing for our vote. That's why politicians can come to black churches and give them nothing, and they'll still vote for them because they're on the Democratic Party line. So at this point, they know what black people are going to do because they're not putting no money. See, ain't no black organization that could put up $1.6 million. And they know that. See, because black people, all their purpose is to vote. And I've been saying it for decades to check these politicians' campaign finance. And when you see the names on those people, those are the people that they owe. They don't owe you. That's why black communities look the way they do. Because they don't owe you nothing. Because you ain't put no money in their campaign. Shanae, Ray, Junebug, they ain't putting no money in no political campaign.
And that's why AIPAC can not only put up money against all the squad members, can raise money for other black politicians to keep them quiet so they don't say anything.
Exactly.
Up to $6,600 a person. And then on the AIPAC PAC website, Super PAC website, there's a list of the congressional candidates, sitting persons
that they give money to.
that they are raising money for, actively raising money for, and that is why you don't get pushback. And it goes to what Damon was saying. Since we don't support our candidates with our dollars, just our words and our vote, it's easier for other people to come in with money. And to take it home a little further, we have already seen in the city of Mount Vernon what happens when an outside person buys that elected official. That elected official is not beholden to you. The elected official is beholden to who put up all that money. So when these Democratic candidates take this money, don't think that there's going to be the people that put money up is going to be calling for favors. If after
Exactly.
they help, after that, the Republican people who put this money in is going to be calling for favors, calling for votes, calling for things that go against the Democratic way of being, but they put money up. So how are you going to tell these people no? You took their money.
Exactly.
And this is the purpose that I wanted to be on this show. I wanted to point out the seriousness in the situation and how it will be a slippery slope going into all future elections unless y'all fight back now and fight for your party and don't accept this. And don't and hold the elected officials who are running and taking this money, hold their feet to the fire. Because they can go to everything they can and they can tell you everything they want. And they can tell you everything that you want to hear, but they took mad money from this MAGA Republicans. I just got a text. What was that? Put that message back up from Bob.
Please check your texts or emails for a definitive overview of party enrollments. You know, and Bob, and you're right. And what I was going to suggest, we're going to say this, then we're going to bring our brother in, the newly elected councilman from New Rochelle, to tell us what happened at the Democratic. But anyway, we're definitely January, February, March, April. End of April, we're falling all new enrollments. I'm going to make that clear. We're falling all new enrollments to the Democratic Party, and we're going to make it public. Who are the people that has transferred over
from the Republican Party to the Democratic
because
Party?
That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. And they do that, and they're going to do it to Ken, and then they're going to do it, and then they're going to do it to the mayors. They're going to do it to the assemblymen. They're going to do it. They're going to do it all through. And then the only thing black people going to have left is their vote in Mount Vernon. And they might end up doing that to Mount Vernon. And then what? Then what? Then black people will have nothing. We're holding on to a thread now. And this is not anti-Semitic. We're talking about this is an anti-black campaign because it's a movement to destroy the black voting power in District 16, and the next is going to be for the rest of Westchester County if they're successful. And y'all might call me crazy, but we're going to tell you. But I see it happening.
And you better watch CD17 too, because they're not trying to let that one go back to the Democrats. So you better watch that one too.
Exactly.
Now, I want to be clear. I live in CD16, and that's the one I'm talking about. But AIPAC specifically is going after all squad members and anybody who didn't stand up for Israel and anybody that didn't call.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. And we got to get our brother in. But according to reports, Israel gets $3 billion a year. So if I'm a congressman and I come from a district that is distressed, we got Yonkers, Mount Vernon, the Bronx, potholes, sewers ain't working, all type of craziness. And I say, hey, listen, let's just send them 1 billion and let's take 2 billion and let's split it up and get our infrastructure together in these marginalized cities. Do I become anti-Israel? Do I become anti-Israel?
You know, there's been calls for accountability for every place that we give money. There's been calls for accountability to all the money going to Ukraine. So why is it anti-Semitic to call for accountability to the money that is given to Israel with an open book? I mean, we've just given this money to them, and we don't call for what this money is being spent on and what is being. So how is that anti-Semitic when we do it to every other country that we give major money to?
And so I just want to ask, we're going to bring brother in, but Marty Dolan, Irvington, he's watching on, he's watching. He said, what if money isn't the key factor? Then what factor could it be? Because money plays a big role in politics. So what factor couldn't it be? They're putting up millions of dollars in this election. So I'm trying to figure out
for one specific purpose.
Right, for one specific district.
To unseat the first and only Black man to hold that office.
And that's all we're saying. And they're transferring Republicans to the Democratic enrollment.
I got a text says the show is making me so sad. My heart hurts from what you're saying. I asked why? What are we saying that isn't true? Where should I start? This is not about race or Jewish.
Well, this is about politics at its highest level.
It's definitely about race.
Well,
it's definitely about race.
Okay.
Welcome to my brother, the newly elected New Rochelle Councilman of District 14, Shane, and I never pronounce your last name right. I don't even try. District 4. What did I say? I said 3 again?
So my name is Shane Ocean Loyer. I'm the council person for District 4 here in the city of New Rochelle. Sorry if I was late. I'm coming out of the NAACP's Jubilee that was hosted at my church, Bethesda Baptist Church.
No, that's good, brother.
Yeah, no. But
we just glad you're here, man.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here. Thank you guys for having me on. The last time we spoke was before I was even considering opening my nonprofit. I think that was the last time that
right.
I was on the show. We were just postulating on exactly what to do around that time. I'm in my car right now, so I'm on the road. No problem. I love, coming in whenever we possibly can. Life is 24 hours, 7 days a week,
Exactly.
So for those people.
And I started out by saying it is about race.
Right.
And before we get started, for those people who said it's not about racism, I started this off saying this is bigger than Jamaal Bowman.
Right.
This is about a GOP, a MAGA GOP attempted takeover of the Westchester Democratic Party.
Reinforcement. I'm going to start by saying reinforcements. I've been saying to a lot of my friends and associates, we have way too many former Republicans in our party. We have way too many former Republicans in our party leadership. We are far too close to the right wing in this country if you compare us to any other developed nation in the world. There's a reason why. There's a reason why people aren't buying into the two-party system, that they're seeing it as one. There's a reason why there are college studies that show that 80% of all legislative decisions are actually aligned more with corporate donors than what the people on the street are looking for and need. There's a reason why we have a housing crisis, especially in communities of people that look like us or adjacent to it. There's a reason why. There's a reason why we're not represented in government contracting.
That's
and on top of that, they want us to shut up. So this is particularly about race.
Exactly.
Specifically about race.
Exactly. Now, brother, please. There was a situation at the Democratic City Committee, and I'll wait till you get your shirt, you get your jacket off. So there was a situation at and a lot of people. I've got texts about it. I got calls about it. But when I heard you was there, brother, that's why I said, yo, AJ, man, you got to call this brother, man. Because see, you witnessed it firsthand on what they're doing, you know, and please, inform the public, like, this is serious. This is serious on where the party is actually going at this point.
So I'm gonna also let you guys know that I'm in the car with former county legislator Damon Mayer.
Hey,
what's up, Damon? Man, you might not want him on the video, man.
Right. Well, let's widen this. Good. Okay. Listen, I don't want to get him in trouble just for being next to me, but I do want to highlight the fact that he's here, just in case I do say anything that could get him in trouble too. No.
I'm not anymore.
Right.
The Democratic Party anymore.
Right. So, here's how I will elaborate on what's been happening recently. I for the sake of other people, I don't necessarily want to disclose exactly what happened in a meeting where we're supposed to keep some level of confidence. I only do that because, and don't think that I'm not going to speak on the matters at hand, just because I want to close confidence. But I would expect that for myself. And brothers, if we had a meeting, I'm keeping it in confidence too.
No, I got you.
The party overall, regardless of what happened recently, I mean, you could look at what happened throughout the county, and you could actually look at the very public results of different endeavors to force an endorsement very early in a congressional race. There's an endeavor overall to stack the deck. Mm-hmm. It's not just with having Republican converts, new converts to the party, a sudden flood to the Democratic Party. It's not just with that. It's an overall effort to fill in the slots for district leaders with people that are more aligned to the people that want political office versus having it, especially in this current moment. It's people that want to stack the deck against our sitting congressman right now. And that's an overall effort. It's a comprehensive effort. It's a multi-front war. And you know what? What I also want to start with is the fact that there is hope. And I'll tell you what the hope is. Because there's somebody that's disappointed, scared because of the things that are going on right now in the county and in NY16. There is hope because at the end of the day, every single cent that a politician spends during an election is to hopefully galvanize enough people to get out and vote on election day. We need people to get out and vote on election day. We need them to get out for the primary, particularly on June 25th. We need you to vote early. We need you to talk to your families. We're going to go old school, Hellenistic period, early democracy, Greek style. We are going to talk to our friends and family members. We need to knock on doors because every dollar that's spent is still spent to galvanize a vote. You understand? So at the end of the day, who votes for who is all that will matter in the end. Now, the consequences of what's happening now, I mean, you've seen it. This is the second time that Congressman Bowman has faced a primary in his very short, he's in his sophomore. Yeah, this is his second term. He's in his sophomore term of being a U.S. congressman, and he's going to be facing now a second primary. We had Elliot Engel, who preceded him, who was in Congress for decades without any primary from the party or anything like that. And it's an effort to silence Congressman Bowman for what he's been doing. And listen, I'm only here. I took off my city jacket because I'm here to represent myself. I'm not representing Congressman Bowman. He could represent himself. I'm not representing the city of New Rochelle. But what I'm definitely doing is representing myself and telling people exactly what me and my constituents feel by and large. Because I've had this conversation with a numerous amount of people. We were planning for this since last year. You see what I mean? So we were prepared for this, and we're prepared for this conversation as well. We were hoping it would not come to this. It's very sad, but we're seeing an attack on our community directly, and people see through it. It's 2024. This is under discussion. You know, what you guys are doing for the conversation is amazing right now, and that's exactly what we need. And this what we're doing right now for those that are here on the line and those who are listening in. Being here right now and hearing the information of what's happening is exactly how we combat it, because then you share it with more people. That's it.
Absolutely. And two things. One, to be clear, unlike District 3 in New Rochelle, your district is not a black district.
Not by majority. Proportionally, my district is almost perfectly diverse in American standards. It is 30% white, it is 30% black, it's 30% Hispanic, and about 7% Asian. So it's actually an almost perfectly diverse district by American standards.
Okay.
And I want to. I'm getting text messages, so I just want to deal with this one. So I've said it more than once, and I'll say it again. This conversation is bigger than support for Jamaal Bowman. This conversation is bigger than George Latimer. This conversation is about an attempted MAGA GOP takeover of the Democratic Party. And I will be clear. And stop texting me if you're not going to do. You don't have to like Jamaal Bowman. That is your right.
Right.
You don't have to even think he did a good job. That is your right. You do that in your vote. The Democrats should solve that in their vote, but they should not be influenced by Republican money and Republican voters coming into the Democratic primary to influence. And again, there's not enough Republicans to take over the Democratic Party. Well, 10 years ago, 3,700 of them, the judge ordered them to be kicked off the ballot of the polls of the Independent Party because they tried to do. 3,700 voters is enough to sway a vote.
And the 3,700 voters is enough to win.
And when you add the millions of dollars of money being spent, they're trying to take over your party. They're trying to take the Democratic vote, the right of the Democratic voters. They're trying to take that away and influence that. And any Democrat who can't see that because the candidate they support is benefiting, shame on you, because it's going to come back to bite you in the butt in another election. We should be against all of it, no matter who they support. Again, this is bigger than just George Latimer and Jamaal Bowman and who you support. We cannot allow them to come in and take the vote out of our hands and influence it in any way that they want. And let me just tell you, if you let them do it now, it is going to be worse in every other election. So you might as well get on this now. And they're counting on the Democratic outcome. Turnout has been lower and lower and lower and lower in every election. Exactly. They're counting on that.
Damon, AJ, I want to have our former legislator speak. He had a thought when you were speaking.
Yeah,
absolutely, my brother. Absolutely.
To say it's not about just the Bowman versus Latimer it could be right, because we could have a primary for district attorney, and we have a very good man I'm supporting out of Mount Vernon named William Wagstaff.
Same.
Right. And he's going to have a very strong challenge to Susan Cacase of Yonkers. And again, it's black and white. And he's a terrific candidate. He has a lot of great ideas on restorative justice, using data, using this emerging adult justice kind of diversion. Like diversion should be the first thought, not incarceration. And as far as I can tell, the other candidate is just more of the same,
right.
Traditional prosecutor. So yeah, if you got Republicans coming and voting in that race as well,
right.
They'll have the right to vote in that race as well. That's a problem.
It'll be the same race where they could have that vote. And by the way, something that was disclosed recently is that she was actually on the Conservative and Republican Party line for the last 2 times that she ran, I believe.
He's a judge.
Yeah,
The judgeships.
right.
Oh, no, Cakes is going to get, if she gets the Democratic line, she's going to have all lines.
Right.
Except
But we want people to understand exactly what that means and how that's been reflected. And sometimes that's been the norm. But just because something has been the norm for a certain amount of time means that doesn't mean it's the way it should have been, you know. And
Right.
we want to consider that. I'm excited for my primary because I'm sure that somebody's going to primary me, because I don't plan on shutting my mouth, and that's a big part of the reason why they're trying to quiet Jamaal Bowman right now by removing him from Congress. That's
Absolutely.
a big part of it. And somebody alleged to me, actually, George just said that he's been doing this, County Executive Latimer said he's doing this because he wants to offer people a choice. He's doing this to give the party more options and everything like that. The last time I checked, it was New York's losses that contributed to us losing the House.
absolutely.
Right.
There's several districts, including one that's literally our neighbors. There are several districts, including NY17, that should be priorities and should be where every bit of our time, our dollars, our door knocking, our phone calls, every second of it should be. If we really cared about the party that much, that's how you narrow it down. Well, AJ, you posed the question, well, is it about race? What is it about, right? So you pare it down by the evidence. If we really cared about influence, oh, well, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get to Washington and I'm going to sway and galvanize 435 other Congress people and 535 members of our House of Representatives in Congress. That doesn't make any sense. It's a silencing effort. And everything is critical mass. We should be looking for more people like Jamaal Bowman. We should be finding and recruiting in districts to find more people like the gentleman, you know? And what's the effort doing? At the end of a career where you're touching 70, and I'm not going to say that career was meritless, but to end it like that, no.
Well, that's why it doesn't make, that's why it doesn't, it really
sense.
doesn't make sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Go upstairs. I'm sorry. I got my grandbaby. You gotta go upstairs. Yeah, so it doesn't make sense. You're 70 years old, right? And you're gonna go down as a freshman congressman. You're gonna get nothing done. See, but he's gonna accomplish one thing, is to take out Jamaal. And that's all. He's not here to bring whatever. You're a freshman congressman. They're going to tell you to go sit in the corner and vote the way we want you to vote. That's it. Like, those of us that understand how this things work. You're not George Latimer, the county exec. You're going to be a freshman congressman, and you're going to piss the minority leader off. You're going to have a pissed off minority leader. He's not going to be saying, hey, George, what? No, he's going to be mad.
Right. Can I tell you something, though? I didn't bring up the fact that George is 70 years old for any type of ageism. I don't care that he's a white man. No. But this is important because it gives things perspectives, right? I have, in the recent past, supported an older white male gentleman who was running for office against a person of color. And I was supporting them in their effort, but why? Because at the end of the day, it's about results. It's about passing a certain type of legislation that's going to reflect in the community in a certain way. It's about activating more voices and not silencing more voices. We've had points of contention. I'm talking about our former legislator mayor. We've had points of contention, but supporting him is not an effort in silencing our community.
Right.
You see what I mean? The effort against Jamaal, it has nothing to do with what Latimer is, what he believes in, what God he prays to. I don't care about any of that. The effort that he's making is to say, what I'm offering is silence. I'm offering silence on major issues. I'm offering silence on issues you don't feel like talking about at work. I'm offering silence on issues that you don't want to address when it comes to you voting, when he's speaking to other elected officials. I'm offering you silence and status quo and going right back to where we came from on issues of justice. We're combating, we have a crisis where I'm gonna say allegedly, even though I don't want to. I'm going to say we're allegedly combating a potential genocide right now.
No,
We're
we are.
Allegedly, listen.
No, the courts ruled that we are. The courts
We're
ruled
allegedly. You see what I got to do, though, brother. We're allegedly combating an issue of ethnic cleansing. We're allegedly combating the defunding of an effort to feed people,
right,
and house them and clothe them. And I'm not talking about overseas, and I'm talking about right here in Westchester. See, it's global racism too. It's global apartheid too. We experience it every single
Westchester
day.
has full.
You see what I mean? So it's not necessarily about who he is, how old he is, or anything like that. He's offering silence right now for our communities.
Right.
That's what he's offering. Status quo, peace.
Good point. Good point. But you know what? Good point. But I'm going to stick on his age too, because what's the what's the point? You did 30 years, right? And you're talking about you're going to go down there and change Washington. You're not changing Washington.
You're going to change the vote to 435 people. Okay.
Exactly. You're not. You're just one vote. You're just one vote.
Right.
And we listen. We already know Washington is chaos. We already know it's dysfunctional. We already know that. But out of that dysfunction, there are a group of people that's speaking for the poor and the marginalized. So you want to kick that away just because he's saying, yeah, we should pay attention to that, but we also should pay attention to this. We could give money to that, but let's not give that much money over there, right? Let's cut that in half.
Or the same amount of money with the conditions of not annihilating.
No, exactly. But see, the problem is we've been giving $1 billion, $3 billion for years. We've been giving billions for years.
Right.
See, and we can't fix our roads.
Right. And what we're being offered with right now is to not have the conversation at all. Exactly. And the next time Marjorie Taylor Greene finds herself in New York, there'll be nobody there to send her back to where she came from. And whenever mega super PACs want to spend whatever outsized amount in any election that they want to, anywhere that they want to, that will be met with compromise, and that will be met with an accomplice instead of being met with opposition. Exactly. Instead of being called out for what it is. It's guaranteeing it. I'm guaranteeing myself a primary right now.
That's right. Black folks, all they want to do is know how when they could get a job.
Right.
As long as I get a job, I'm good.
Right. And look, again, Latimer's career is not without merit, but don't come somewhere. I wouldn't put this on him, except for if you put yourself in a position where you're trying to be the strong man that says, oh, well, I'm going to galvanize Washington, D.C. of the great Babylon of the United States. Okay. Well, in Westchester, we haven't even solved the affordable housing crisis. If you look at the list of places that are offering places to live, you have a waterfall. Look at the county's list of places to live right here in Westchester County. You have a waterfall of high-priced luxury rentals, and you have a little paragraph full of condos where somebody could actually buy their home. There's no new housing stock. What are we talking about?
Listen,
we have a fraction of government contracts. Government contracts change people's entire lives. They change their organizations. They hire people.
Well,
they change an entire financial perspective.
How many blacks do have government contracts?
Thank you.
Black companies,
right?
yeah.
How many black businesses actually got COVID relief money through the county, right? Because see, I had just asked Ken, I said, listen, my wife ain't getting no COVID money. Ain't nobody come calling her.
And listen, what I'm saying this to say too is this is a comprehensive effort that has to be led all the way down from where I am on city council, all the way up to the state and federal government. That's the conversation to be had, and that's something that we could all galvanize around until you come for somebody that is representation in our communities, and you say you're going to come in and change everything for the better. We've been glad-handed and promised things like that before and not seen it.
Right.
So
You're going to suddenly fix every single thing that hasn't been fixed, even in this county where we exist.
I want to give
about.
He says, which candidate thinks that those crying out about human rights issues are baseless, meritless, and counterproductive, and which will act bravely and powerfully to intervene to prevent more deaths?
Right.
Brother, the answer is easy. That's Jamaal Bowman.
Right.
Because he's the only
that
one.
was a rhetorical question because they had the quote and everything. You know?
Exactly. But we already know that. That's Jamaal. And everything Jamaal was saying, the international court co-signed on it. They co-signed on it. Please go to blackwestchester.com and you'll read the article. You know, so now what is he going to say when one of the highest courts says, world courts, says that Israel was committing genocide and told them that they had to correct certain things and report back in a month?
Genocide does not age well. It never has, it never will.
No. So now what is he going to say?
So
What is he going to say? Is he going to speak up? Because he totally forgot about the Muslim community in Westchester County. He totally forgot about the Arab community in Westchester County.
Pardon, excuse me, I'm sorry. He also forgot about the Jewish community in Westchester County, because the Jews that have supported me, and I speak directly to all of the communities in my district, my Jews are the Jews for Jamaal. My Jews are the not in my name Jews.
Right.
So it's all communities that you're leaving out. And again, it's a return to a compilation of silence.
Exactly.
There were Jews I was at Jamaal's campaign announcement rally on Wednesday. I had a few of my allies. I still have to learn my brothers and sisters in the Islamic community and the Arab communities. But my brothers and sisters in the Jewish community are at the front lines with me saying, listen, I don't want to get you in trouble, young black man, for how I feel about the situation, because I've never supported apartheid since my college days. That's what my 50, 60, 70, 80-year-old Jewish friends have been saying to me. So what are we even talking about when we're talking about who these communities are? How do these people have a You see me with this American flag on my chest? All this Ralph Lauren. You see me in this red, white, and blue. You know why? How can I be an activist that's contentious in our community among activists and advocates? Exactly. How could you support the flag? How could you on January 1st for your position swear to an oath to protect the Constitution? Because this land is my land.
That's right.
This land is where my grandfather built his house. This is where my grandfather, my great-grandfather, and my uncle served in the military. This is where my father's people went through chattel slavery. This is where my mother's people came here to find a better life because they lived in Barbados and Nigeria, and we needed opportunity at the time. And they came from a worse slavery down in Barbados, but they fought against it. This land is my land. You can never tell me. In the same way, to my Jewish brothers and sisters, I want to tell you, never let people tell you what your community is. And we will support you in that. I've received nothing but support. I love it because that's real unity. This is divisive. We never should have had what we experienced at all these conventions throughout Westchester.
Exactly. Exactly.
We could be at home right now peacefully. We could be talking about NY17 right now. We could be watching football. I know a lot of people watching football.
Watching the NFL playoffs.
Right. Damon wants to see the halftime show with Taylor Swift. You see that? Right. Right. We don't have to be dealing with this division right now. It's creating a year. This is what 2024 has turned into. I wanted to focus on nothing but housing this year. Right. Nothing else. We lost 110,000 people in New York.
And you know what? You know what else was just disrespectful? It popped up to my mind, man. And we all was there. No, I don't think Damon was there, but we all was there, right? At the Black Dems.
Mm. Damon?
Were you there, Damon?
Damon was there.
Oh, okay. Then we all was there, right?
Damon's always there. That's why I was supporting him.
So, Latimer gets on the podium. He recognized all the first, but the black man. Now, see, that to me, that was disrespectful.
Yeah, he called out all the elected officials.
Oh, you're talking about at the Black Dems of Westchester dinner. Yes.
Because he said all the first, but he didn't recognize the first black man in CD16. Whether you're running against him or not, you still show support. You still should show respect on his accomplishments. And it wasn't just me, it was older people that caught it.
Everyone caught it.
Yeah, everybody caught it. Right.
I'm glad I had a table in the back left, because everybody knows how I feel about Jamaal. Everybody knows how I feel about the race. If you know me, I've talked about all these things already. So everyone's looking at me, and I have to learn something as a politician. I have to learn how to abide blatant hypocrisy.
No.
Yeah. I have to learn the face.
No. Keep doing you're doing.
I was cackling in the back left because I was like, first of all, I was in shock because I was like, no way this is happening at the Black Dems right now. And then people throughout the room were looking at me like, is this really happening right now? After, man, I was about to get in trouble with nobody.
Listen, we got text messages while it was going on.
We
were sitting at the same table looking.
Like it's
hypocrisy and dichotomy don't age well either.
Oh, man, listen, I'm disappointed in George. And I told Ken, I'm transparent. I told Ken, and I told anybody that called me about my articles about George. I said, it's not personal.
It's not.
I don't see you representing our community. You're not going to fool me or people that think like me when you have some Negroes around you.
Right.
And even pastors, any black pastor that will come out is a support of genocide. I'm saying this because I report it. I report what's going on over there.
Right.
And for Pastor Moraine to write that op-ed in Lohud when Christian churches are being bombed, one of the oldest Christian church in the world. Matter of fact, the Christian community in Gaza is one of the oldest Christian communities in the world. And as a black pastor, a descendant of slaves, one of the greatest oppressions, and you're not standing up for those Christians, you are a hypocrite to Jesus Christ and the Bible.
Right. And complicit.
And I just have to call it out because we got to call it what it is. And we got to call these black pastors. We got to call these black politicians. We got to hold them accountable to what they're doing.
Can I make a request? In my opinion, I would not, and this is my opinion, and Damon's much more of a general than I've been, like a foot soldier as far as campaigning. At the end of the day, we only need to see the result that our representation, when I knock on the door and I see a young man that's in his teens or younger and he's looking like me and I'm looking like Jamaal and he's looking up to us, right? If we want to keep that representation, Don't spend 1 second with any black pastors. Spend every second making phone calls, knocking on doors, and everybody that's registered to vote, get your kids to vote. It increases votes by
Exactly.
50 to 100%. You could double somebody's vote just by having somebody's entire house come out. Get an election day plan. Who are you going to the polls with? That starts today. It's January 28th. That starts today. Who on June 25th, because that's the day for the primary. That's the important day here. On June 25th, actually, for early voting, the 15th of June. June 15th, 10 days before. Who are you going to the polls with on day one of early voting to make sure that our representation that matters is still in place on June 26th? Don't spend 1 second. If a black pastor can't see through that, if the Holy Spirit hasn't, I'm saying this right in front of my church. If the Holy Spirit hasn't led them to see that, that's on them.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to their congregation. Talk to their family. Talk to their wife. Talk to the first lady.
So
let's see how that goes down.
Lisa Klepler Tannenbaum.
So, I want to address her because she's the one that's been texting me. So I definitely
well, she said what Bowman did in 2020 divisive when he should be focusing on Trump. Now Peter Bernstein also made a statement. He says, note, Lisa Klepler Tannenbaum was a paid staffer for previous Congressman Eliot Engel, who Bowman defeated.
Yeah.
And she's all sour grapes, right? But the question is, what did he do? The man over the years have brought $1 million to the district. So what did he do?
$12 million to Memorial Highway. Right behind me in 1967, the Interstate Highway Act that paved through black communities throughout our nation also paved through New Rochelle, the first cash infusion to do anything to even look at this space to reinvest in what they call a highway to nowhere, but it's really not. It's a highway through my community. It's a highway next to where I grew up for the first 11 years of my life. It's a highway where my grandmother was next to New Rochelle Hospital, where my grandmother was the nursing manager. It's a highway that's around the corner from my church. It's a highway around the corner from where our elementary school came down. The first cash investment that we saw was through the DRI grant, and the second cash investment was $12 million from Jamaal Bowman's office. That's how he represents our communities right here. I'm looking at it. Plus the Boys and Girls Club. But
I hope she puts up what was
1.1. Look at this. Look at Damon. This is why we need history on the chat. $1.125 million that went to the Boys and Girls Club for that to be rebuilt.
No. I'm thinking of the OYP. That was one. Remember?
Oh yeah.
The diversionary program. That was 1.125. So Boys Club is more.
For Judge Jared Rice's OYP program, that's a recidivism. Look, we got so many accomplishments of Jamaal Bowman that we're getting confused. Which one and the numbers? Right.
Let me address Lisa because she's texting me.
Why wasn't it divisive for Bowman to primary Eliot, but it's divisive for Bowman to be primary? That's the question.
The answer is what I said and what I've said to you, Lisa, and several text messages that you've been texting me. This show is about the attempted GOP takeover of the Democratic Party. The show is about, now, if you do not like Jamaal, Democrats have the right to vote him out and vote for Latimer. But when Republicans put money in and when Republicans change their party affiliation to alter the vote against our wishes, that is a problem.
That's a problem.
The Republicans did not, MAGA Republicans did not put millions of dollars into Jamaal's campaign to defeat Eliot Engel. And let me just be honest, Eliot Engel probably almost would have won if it wasn't for his own mouth and the hot mic situation that got him in trouble. So everybody who support Eliot Engel,
he told the truth for once.
Right. What he said on that hot mic turned a lot of people off who did support him. So let's be clear about that.
Yeah. I'm sorry too. Elliot did himself in with that hot mic situation, and he made a terrible mistake that cost him the election. He went into a marginalized community and didn't know that the mic was on, and said that basically he didn't have time and he wouldn't have been there for his district.
Right, because he wanted them to stop the thing and let him speak.
Election. That's Elliot's fault. And I'm going to tell you, Lisa, I like Elliot.
He was a great big supporter of Black Westchester. He was a big supporter of Black Westchester.
Elliot, but he made the mistake. But now when it comes to Latimer, right? What did Bowman do wrong for his district? When he talked about the marginalized, he questioned some money that was going over to other countries, right? He didn't like a certain bill that money wasn't in for people from marginalized communities in his district.
You know what he did wrong, Damon? He was unapologetically Black and spoke on Black issues that have not been spoke on in this district.
Right, because let me tell you, he's the only
that they don't want him to speak about.
He's the only Black. He's the only elected official. I ain't even going to say that. He's the only elected official at that level that ever talked about reparations for Black people. He's the only elected official that actually right now put a monetary bill in. And then they want to support, and here's the biggest hypocrisy. George and Mondier, I have to call my brother out too. I give it to them all. Want to support H.R. 40. H.R. 40 was created by Congressman Conyers way back in the 90s. This is this bill, and Conyers is dead, right? So now we're going to sit here and we're going to talk about we still have to study slavery? Are you fucking kidding me? Slavery was American law. We don't have to study it.
Right.
We lived it. We don't have to study it.
We're still living it. It's over 5 generations ago. We still living it.
And if these people have their way, our younger people will never know about it because they're whitewashing history.
Right.
They're trying to take it out like it never existed. They act like slavery was a workforce program and it benefited us or something.
Mr. Benjamin Brown, if you know those people, Ryan Grimm, if you know Mr. Grimm, please go to our website, blackwestchester.com, and click the contact and send us his contact number. I would love to have him on the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would love the squad. He said he wrote a book. I'm reading it now. It talks about AIPAC and the Dem majority for Israel. Okay, yeah, man, we would love to. I'm going to look that up and see if we can reach out to him and bring him on the show. But see, what I don't like is politicians quoting Martin Luther King Jr.
Mm.
And when Martin Luther King Jr. specifically, and I have the video, and I wanted to post it, but I got to load it up. When he said their reason for going to Washington was to get their check.
Right.
To get their check. So you can't sit here, George, and quote Martin Luther King Jr. and be against reparations and talk about studying. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't have to study it. See, they like to create, they like to just blur history and say it was, Martin Luther King, it was the I Have the Dream speech. No, he went there for a check. He went there to get money that was owed to Black people. So when you quote a Black man, George, make sure you know what you're quoting.
The check that was paid to us with insufficient funds.
Exactly. So you shouldn't be supporting H.R. 40. You should be supporting Jamaal Bowman's bill, which saying that we need to be paid.
So I'm
sorry. Wait.
I want to say one more thing about Lisa, and then we're gonna move on from Lisa. So
yeah.
Lisa is doing what a lot of people do. I told you what this conversation was about. It has taken different turns. But she wants to say that we're giving out misinformation and all this other stuff, and then saying, what piece of legislation has Bowman ever written and passed? Bowman hasn't authored one single bill. Just because you don't know, just because you don't know a bill doesn't mean that he hasn't authored any bill. Two, George is going to go in if he wins, and he can't author. He can only author a bill and can't get nothing passed by himself either. You understand what I'm saying? Like, to say that this man has never authored or sponsored any bill and you don't know what you're talking about is the very misinformation that you're accusing us of.
Can I add to that, AJ?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's actually throughout the country, there have been several initiatives for reparations, and actually most of them have been successful, particularly at the city and the county level, where you're on the ground with the people and understand the nuances of exactly what they need. So if we were actually going to see reparations in any meaningful way from George Latimer over Jamaal Bowman, wouldn't we have already seen those things?
In Westchester County,
Right.
where we only have one. How many black commissioners we got? 2 out of 9.
Right.
Right. You got massive harassment of black women at the county jail.
How about if it wasn't for me and my fellow council person here in New Rochelle running for office last year, I wouldn't have any black male representatives or anybody that looked like me up the chain from my council all the way up to my federal government right now. Jamaal Bowman is the only one that looks precisely like me and deals with the issues that I'm dealing with. And he has to represent his constituency. And like I said, Elliot was the congressperson for decades. And the first cash infusion right here where the interstate highway cut and bled through our community was through Jamaal Bowman's effort and the effort through the state working in compilation. So that's the difference.
Well. I mean, in his 2 terms, he's brought over $250 million to the district.
Right.
So whether or not he has bills that he written or bills that pass, he's brought money to the district. And I think listen, let me
into all communities that weren't getting the money.
Right. And at the end of the day, you got a dysfunctional Congress. So how is he? And the Republicans is the majority. So how is he going to get the bill passed anyway?
Right.
You could write a million bills, but if the Republicans are the majority, they ain't gonna get passed anyway. And second, we want our representatives that go to DC to bring home the bacon.
Right.
Let me just tell you one last thing. This same lady who was saying all of this stuff is the lady who was the campaign manager for the guy that works at your job that dropped out of the race. She was his campaign manager. And
Gerald, he wasn't going to win anyway.
Yeah, but now she jumped on George, but she wasn't even George. She wasn't even running with George in the beginning. She was running with the other dude, and she was his campaign manager, and he couldn't raise no money.
Let me tell you something. And I don't care if you tell me this.
Black male as a
for him to be deputy commissioner as a black man and black women at the jail dealing with procedural harassment, he should be embarrassed for himself. And I said it, I just left there, just retired in August, so I know what I'm talking about.
I'm going to add to it that the job of a congressman isn't just to get bills passed. Again, what's being offered right now is silence. The biggest job of Congress is to handle the purse strings of America. That's number one, actually. It's not passing laws. We've been able to pass so many laws because people have wanted repressive nationwide laws. And actually, I'm going to say that sometimes it's about the things that you vote against just as much as the things that you put forward. One of the things that's held against Jamaal is that he voted against the infrastructure bill as it came down. And I understand for people that are on the ground, like, oh, well, we need $1 trillion. That's a lot of money. It would be a lot for our communities. $100 billion over 10 years is actually nothing. And what we actually saw during that time, if you were watching every single day that led up to it, is the initial offer was $10 trillion.
Right.
And this is the conversation that I had last time when Jamaal was primaried, and somebody called my fund looking for my support. You're literally offering me less.
Right.
Not only that,
less.
Not only that, he came on our show. Right. He came on our show and said that they promised in the beginning it was bundled with the Build Back Better bill.
1 plus 2.5.
Then they decided to strip the Build Back Better part that was going to benefit marginalized communities all over this country,
specifically,
and just pass this part of the bill. And because it was together and he supported it together, he was like, no, we're not going to strip off that part. We need that part more than we need the other part. And since he knew it was going to go through anyway, he voted no as a protest for them stripping away the other part. Now, it's on YouTube, and I can share you the link, and you can hear the words from the man, because I asked him, because a lot of his constituents in the area wanted to know why so we had him on the show, and we grilled him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he got grilled like everybody else. And these were his answers. And again, see, we're in this thing right now with politics where somebody says something, it's the equivalent of throwing shit against the wall. You just keep saying stuff, and then whatever sticks, then you say that over and over and over and over and over and over. But that doesn't make it true. Just because you support someone else, Elliot Engel brought a lot of money to the Jewish community specifically. He brought a lot of money to a lot of communities, but specifically to that community because that was his community. You know what I'm saying? Nobody complained about that. Jamaal is standing up a lot for the Black and brown community. You understand what I'm saying? The communities that wasn't being stood up for.
Where the need is the greatest. Where the need is the greatest.
Right. And you have the right to not feel what he's saying. You have the right to not want to even vote for him and think that he didn't do a good job. That is your right as a voter. You have the right to question him. George Latimer has the right to primary him. That is not what I'm talking about. We're talking about Republican interference, Republican takeover of the party. So they are taking the vote away from the Westchester County Democrats, and they are using their money and influence and numbers to push the vote in one direction or another. That is against the democratic way. And you don't understand that they are taking over your party. And I don't know how else. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make the horse.
AJ, let me explain something to you. We're in a political era now that they don't care. Right?
Facts don't matter. Right.
Facts doesn't matter as long as I get mine. Right. So all that stuff that they talked about the party is down the drain. Right. Because the only thing I could do is just promise a whole bunch of influential people, make promise to them. Right. And then they'll lead the sheep to the slaughter. And that's what's going on. You know, I made it clear to you, AJ, and it's not personal. We're not taking AIPAC money. We're not taking Teach money. We don't want blood money because that's tied to oppression and genocide. And I'm not, and I need to sleep at night. What's it say? God's plan is my plan. So I'm not supporting none of that. And it's not personal, and it's not personal against George. I just don't support genocide that has just been co-signed by the courts.
People, Damon, our former county legislator, he wants to give a little stage advice to give us hope.
You know, I'm a lawyer, so I want to talk about the legalistic stuff. You know, I don't know if you covered this earlier. And first of all, I got to disclaim that I'm no longer a member of the Democratic Party. Now, so I'm going to give advice. First of all, hi, Lisa. I know Lisa. She's okay.
I know her too. Yeah.
No Reverend Darrell, and he's a nice
It's
guy.
silly season. People get crazy in silly
He
season.
said he's a nice guy.
But anyway, there is a mechanism. First of all, if you're a registered Democrat, you're a real Democrat, and you have been for years. You might be pretty upset about this. The Westchester County Democratic Committee is supposed to work for you. And there's a mechanism in the law. Everybody can Google this right now. New York State Election Law, Section 116-10, subsection 2, and the county chair, county Democratic chair, who may appoint on her own or may appoint a subcommittee to look into a big influx in registrations and re-registrations, and has the prerogative to strip people from the party roll for the purpose of the primary. If he thinks in good faith they're not really adherents to principles, and the word principles is in the statute.
Right.
It's a funny thing. It's probably the only place where it's in there. The principles of the party, and it's suspected that they're doing this funny thing just for this one election. And from the websites I've looked at, and you look at your colleagues in journalism, the Westchester Rising Papers, that Eric Schoen writes an article, and he said it pretty blatantly. Just change your registration temporarily, just to vote against this guy, and then you can go back, or whatever, and stay and make trouble in other elections. So, yeah, I mean, if you're concerned as a Democrat, you have a mechanism to appeal to your chair.
Let's make that appeal.
To say, what's going on here? Check out these people who are re-registering. Show no interest in democratic work, democratic politics, voting for Democrats over time, and see what happens. And there are court cases. As you say, you talked about the Independence Party,
Right?
By Astorino. It was a big case.
Yeah, he won.
So some were knocked out, and some like half of the
3,700 were removed from the.
Some were knocked out. Some were stayed on. But there was before that there was a case out in Long Island, Suffolk County, I guess. Was somebody's trying to take over the Conservative Party. So it's usually the smaller parties, and it's not based. It's generally you're talking about a takeover, and in the situation of the Democratic Party, obviously it's not going to be a majority that's going to take over the whole party, but is it a critical mass that'll change the vote?
Right.
And I would argue if there's a critical mass to change the vote, and you're not, and you get those people taken off, that's not voter suppression. Voter suppression is them coming in and diluting
Exactly.
the Democratic vote.
And I want to know, and since you said that, I'm glad that you said that, we should be asking Suzanne Berger, what is she doing about this? Is she remaining silent? Is she cool with all of this? Like, there's no way that I know all that I know, and I'm reading all that I'm reading, and then she does not know this. Does she have a plan in action? And let me even be further. As someone who was very adversarial and very critical of the former chairman, Reggie Lafayette, he wouldn't have put up for this shit. And I don't know if Latimer would even ran if he was in power.
He wouldn't have put up. He wouldn't put up with none of this. Damon, let me ask you a question. Could registered Democrats within CD 16, because you have to have standing, could they sue the party for allowing this to happen?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
I think we need to look at it.
Rated doesn't want to be rated,
No. Maybe she wants it to be rated.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
as we say in America, like, if you want gun control, just let black people have guns. When you want to find some new laws that pop up out of nowhere and they're all used in compilation in very interesting ways, I've had issues right here in the show where I was saying to my colleagues, it's very interesting when we have to look at things like New York state law and they immediately apply and somebody's house is raided versus, well, let's have a conversation about it. Let's see when and if we might eventually. It's very interesting how quickly people will find mechanisms when they see certain people in
I
power.
think the people in CD 16, and it's so unfortunate I don't live there yet, but my address will be there soon.
Come through.
Well, that means we don't know what the district lines are definitely going to be yet.
Right. Too. Well, we know it's going to be around Mount Vernon, New Rochelle. We know they're going to keep that.
Mount Vernon's not going nowhere. Yeah.
From talking to Ken,
everything's up for a question.
I'm always transparent.
Yeah,
and talking to other people in the know. And Jamaal, there's a great chance that they're going to move White Plains and Greenburg back to 17 and give Jamaal back.
Yeah,
and give Jamaal back the Bronx, the ones they took away. It's a great. I'm hearing the rattling, and I called Ken. You know, well, Ken called me after I did the article about this.
but outside of that, I've heard.
Yeah, he called me very quick after I did the article about all that.
About that too.
Yeah, because I've seen things that would say the opposite. So we'll see from your lips.
We're going to
see because that would say the opposite. So from your lips to God's ears, brother.
I have told people. See, we play. Look, I'm a student of Dr. Cavallo from God Bless the Dead, former Independence Party. You sue them.
That's how he got the Republicans off of the Independence.
No, well, not only that, you and remember, Sam Zerka will sue you in a New York Minute, right? You sue, and I've been telling people with this district, sue them. Suing them will keep them honest. Now, that's how
the lines got to where they were. When the Democrats did it, the Republicans sued.
Right, and well, and
we got a special master who created the lines we have now.
Even with when we're dealing with the influx, you sue. Right? You sue. You sue. So I mean, we really have to have a talk off camera, because I think someone who's vested in District 16 should send, and we're making it transparent. Like, and anybody watching, y'all gonna know it's coming, because we don't care. We're gonna tell you it's coming. Someone should send a letter to the chair, right? Talking about the law, and the principles and all that, and this is affecting the principles and moving forward of the Democratic Party. What are you going to do about it? If she does nothing, then you sue. You sue, and let that shit go to court and go be front of a judge, and let them talk about it throughout the goddamn country.
Right.
You put them on Front Street.
And going back to what Shane said, the council member, we're supposed to be concentrating on getting that seat back, that Mondaire's running for, which means, by the way, we should hope that that border moves south, and we move Jamaal's district south, because that'll be easier to get that seat. We should all be working. There's that crazy guy, Ramo, what was his name? Who got thrown out of Congress. So there's the special election.
The 5-3, I think it is.
Yeah. Special election. That's part of trying to get a seat back for the Democrats. Swazi. Yeah. Very middle of the road. Not the kind of guy I would generally support. I wouldn't support him in a primary.
But for that area, it kind of averages out.
We got to win that seat. The Democrats, and he didn't even take. He didn't want the Working Families Party, by the way.
Right.
Because they would paint him as being too progressive.
Too progressive, right?
But I'm working for him.
So I have to be. So these are the bills that Congressman Bowman. Fair College Admissions for Students Act, the African American History Act, College Athlete Right to Organize Act, More Teaching, Less Testing Act, Heating and Cooling Relief Act, the Green New Deal for Public Schools Act, and Ending Corporate Greed Act.
Mm.
And that's
Those
just a
are all
few
the
of them.
bills he authored.
And those are just so Lisa, I say, when you walk around saying that he's never authored nothing, he's never brought you're putting out misinformation because you don't know.
Exactly.
Now to say I ain't never heard of no bill that he ever did, or I don't know about, that would be truthful. To say he's not done any of them, that is misinformation and an outright lie because you don't have the facts to back it up.
But
I'm specifically going after her because she knows me and she just blew up my phone the whole time it's going on. And I was nice enough to address the first few things without saying her name until she started putting her name. So we good. But
something that white supremacist apologists do is they'll have us spend a lot of time doing their homework for them, though. I'm glad you brought up those bills because everybody that's watching now can hear some more of the bills that Jamaal has done. But we don't want to spend too much time with people that are just obstructionists. You know what I mean? We have a lot of work to do. We have 6 months. Five. It's January 28th. We have 5 months. We have to get activated. We have to get people ready for June 15th. And just understand the position we're in. Even what we were talking about in Long Island with NY3, because we have to align with Democrats that share fewer of our views, but they're valuable for where they are. That's even more of a reason why we need Bowman to be here, where we live, to reinforce exactly how we want to be represented on a daily basis, and for most of our communities, not just a couple every few decades.
Exactly.
I want to wait, Damon. I want to do. You said someone needs to write a letter. Black Westchester is saying, Suzanne Berger, where do you stand on this? What are you going to do about it? We want to hear from you.
Send it to me. I'll sign it.
We want to hear. I'm saying it right here.
No, I'll put it together, brother.
Yeah,
you ain't got no worry about that.
I'm putting it out on the air right now. Suzanne Berger, AJ Woodson, editor-in-chief of Black Westchester, is calling for you to speak up on where you stand on this. I wrote it in the article, so I might as well say it again on the radio show. Where do you stand? Are you going to allow this to go on? What are you going to do about it?
Nichelle Johnson asked June 15th or June 25th. Nichelle, I'm going to tell you, as an elected official, I learned a few things last year. Number one is we definitely want to get our votes in the day one. June 25th is election day, yes, but that's the last day. I've actually seen local elections be turned by 35 votes for people that were early voters or write-in ballots, or people that were away. They're going to be people that are on vacation in June. They're going to be people that might be sick in June. You want to get them in on the first day of early voting, not the last day, which is election day. Please.
Hurricane.
We could have a hurricane. We could have a typhoon. We got Juneteenth. Don't come on Juneteenth to Lincoln Park. and while we celebrate our Jubilee, go to City Hall and vote on June 15th so that right here in Nourish Show, 10 days later, your vote is going to go towards your representation. But we have to plan these things now. It's Black History Month. It's a great month to plan way ahead for the rest of that year.
Exactly.
And the great thing about early voting is you can vote at any voting place in the county as opposed to just so you could be doing business in White Plains and you can vote. You know what I'm saying? You could be shopping in Yonkers and you can vote. So you couldn't rush back to where you live and didn't get back in time. You can vote anywhere in the county there's a voting place and early voting. So that's another good reason to do it.
So I want to add some more, right? Heating and cooling, I read that. Ending corporate greed, I read that. Babies Over Billionaires Act, affordable co-op, collective opportunities for owning property. Brother Peter Bernstein, he just mentioned that, and the Care for All agenda. So these are all the bills. So you're looking at 7 or 8 bills that he did author. Now, when you argue, well, did they pass or not? Hey, the Democrats is in the minority. they're not going to pass. Like we already,
Some of it's not even getting brought to the floor by
right, they're not going to give.
Yeah,
Do you really? I don't even think even some Democrats is going to vote for the Ending Corporate Greed Act. Right. So it's, at the end, I think some Democrats is going to give the rock eyebrow on that one. Like, bro, like, really? Oh, you want us to vote for that one? But he authored these bills, so let's stop from moving forward saying that he never authored any bills, because he did. Sister Nichelle Johnson, thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate that, and we appreciate the work that you do in the Mount Vernon community as a city judge. And that's my sister. Assalamu alaikum. I want to.
We got another comment. Can I read?
Yeah.
New Greenberg town clerk and former People Before Politics co-host. She says she checked, and they have to the end of February to submit the new congressional lines.
Oh, and Sister Nero, it's not sexual harassment. Them sisters up at the jail, they harass them through policy. So it's easy to harass through policy, and we're having issues with that. And sooner or later, all that's going to come out. They're even trying to quiet a Black correction organization to stop them from posting the issues in the facility on social media.
Benjamin Brown asked what the last day for voter registration in the primary is.
Valentine's Day, February 14th. The Republicans told us that, and all of their cards they gave out, all their cards they gave out, and all their websites, they gave us that information already. So it's February, Valentine's Day. Matter of fact, there's an article, something about Valentine's Day and voting Jamaal out. Ain't there an article that you just put up earlier about Valentine's Day, Damien?
Yeah. Yo, it's so crazy. People are they're passing out. They're passing out business cards, man. Which is
so people can see if they haven't seen it in the mail. You have one of them on you that looks like.
Yeah. I'm gonna put it up. I'm getting ready to put it up in a hot second. Hold on a second. I'm getting ready to put it up in a minute.
So we're gonna round it up after that and start getting the last words in. And
I just want to play. I just want to end it out with something that Reverend Richardson said that I think is so key. Was so on point that he said. Let me put up this card. So people people don't believe how serious this is, and then when you show them,
they're giving out business cards, they're putting up websites, they're giving out
exactly
they're putting this in writing, like they are totally disrespecting you.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I just want to say, don't AJ, again, you posed the question, is this a racist campaign? I want to reinforce that with, we have house Negroes too. And a
whole bunch of them.
Protecting Master's house. Remember the story of the house Negro and the field Negro, Malcolm X story. We have a lot of Negroes right now. We have a lot of Black people right now in our communities. Enough. I'm not going to say a lot. It's not even a majority, but it's enough that are going to throw everything that they can behind supporting Latimer just out of fear, just out of the status quo and what they're used to, just because of they want to look good and look, Master, look at what I did to protect your house. Look, I supported you. Won't you support me in my next thing? And let me tell you something. They're going to be coming with a lot of, this is what I was saying earlier, Damon. We're not in the business of conversion. There are a lot of organizations, there are a lot of foot soldiers that are dedicated to that. What we need to do is keep records and remember.
Exactly.
There are dinners coming up. There are a lot of fundraising drives.
Exactly.
There are a lot of other elections for other people that are coming up. We need to remember those things. And we not just George running against Jamaal. We need to look at every single entity,
Exactly.
organization that supports this effort to unseat our representation, because representation does matter, and we need to keep a long memory. Am I going to that dinner? I don't know, because I don't know who they're endorsing, so I don't know who they're going to cut a check to. I got to think about it. Let's see after this election, because that's how other communities function, which is why we're even dealing with what we're dealing with right now. And is it a racist campaign? Well, look at who your friends are.
Brother Shane, we got to get young brothers like you. See, because the problem is going to be these older Democrats.
Of course.
These ones stuck in the ways, and these ones mess their credit up and mess their life up and still need favors, right? Those are the ones that's going to, you're going to see, those are the ones that's going to sell their soul out.
Sold.
You're going to see.
They're just casting it in.
So y'all young brothers, and I respect a lot of y'all young brothers that are in the Democratic Party, that are working hard, but maybe y'all got to sit together on the sidelines and really, because y'all are the future. So what's the point of y'all being the future, and these older quagmires is not giving y'all a party for your future?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? You're not going to have them. You're not going to have y'all doing all this work, this groundwork for what?
Right.
And
for them to give it away to Republicans?
Every movement that we've accomplished anything was led by the young.
Right.
Civil rights, all of that was led by the young. That was fueled by the sweat of the young.
God says, give him the strength of your youth. Absolutely.
I mean, it was.
I'm 37. I'm already doing succession planning. I'm already looking throughout my community, who's working on what, who's interested in what. But we have big issues in New York, and again, housing is one of them. Having local economy right here in New Rochelle, where we're used to being a bedroom community and serving our minds to every other city that's surrounding us or far away but transit oriented. We need local economy, because that's what's going to keep other brothers like me here. I'll tell you flat out, my friends have moved. A good amount of them that think the way that I do, and they're doing incredible work everywhere but where they grew up. Some of them want to bring that work back, and we don't have the facilities to house them. We don't have the government funding to give them those contracts when they need them. And I'll tell you another thing. For the few that finally get those contracts, they're met with every single gate that existed, and also some new ones.
And for y'all, all y'all Mount Vernon people who like to quote on George fixing Memorial Field, ask them how many black contractors got contracts.
Right.
Yo, Damon, kick that video, and then we'll do last words right afterwards. And if just in case we have any comments about the video, we get a chance to speak on the other side.
Can I ask for something from y'all?
Can
we have a whole night that's dedicated to black economics, where we talk about government contracting?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I commit to that.
All right.
Absolutely. Let's make let's make that happen. We're gonna talk offline and just set a date, and we just bring people on, man.
I love Mamaroneck board trustee Leilani Yazari.
Hey, Leilani, I see her pop up.
We're not alone, sis, and we need critical mass. We need more sisters like you too.
Tomorrow night, very big hearing on affordable housing in the Mamaroneck Village. Support.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, man. Let's make that happen, man. Shane, just get the people, man. We set a date.
Time in the chat. We're gonna be there tomorrow. It's good.
What tomorrow? Where? What's going on tomorrow?
Everything you need, Leilani. Put it in the chat tomorrow in Mamaroneck. We need to support
Mamaroneck Village.
Yes, the village.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let me play this
video. Yeah. While we end up, I'm going to play this VIP from Reverend Richardson, who came on our show, and this is what he had to say.
Ignored its black population, even though, and unfortunately, it was for a long time it was concentrated in Mount Vernon. The black population in Westchester is expanding, to other communities, and we have to raise consciousness. You know, one of the things that disturbs me, and it didn't just start this administration, but I've never been understanding how there could be such lack of Black presence on the 7th floor of the county office building, or the 9th floor, whatever floor. When I go up there, I'm discouraged by the people who are at the very top, or the person who's at the top not having input from more than one Black. Usually they get one token Black, and he person or she supposed to speak for all the Black people in the county. And we have to own, and we have to get people who are allies to us to own the fact that the most neglected and persecuted element in our society is Black men.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been from we are the most threatening, we're the most persecuted, we're the most marginalized. They always wanted to separate us from our families. They wanted to separate us from our wives. They would take Black women always over Black men. And while, you know, I'm totally down with Kamala. In fact, I fought and pushed Biden to get a Black woman as a running mate. But at the same time, I recognize that they are not aggressive about solving the problem of Black men. Now, let me tell you, you cannot solve Black people's problem and leave the Black men on the outside.
That amen.
Black men have got to be addressed if we're going to address racism and correct the society.
That was a portion of the interview we did with Reverend Richardson. You can see on our YouTube page. You can just Google it. You can watch the entire interview with him. He was promoting a book, and he had a lot to say about the Black community. But that was a portion. That was just a snippet of that interview that I think was like 2 years ago. You can see I didn't let the gray. You can see I didn't have all that gray in that video, so you can see it was at least 2 years ago. Yeah. So Shane and Damon, any last words?
You know, again, support Leilani. Very, very important.
Yes.
Because a lot of liberal Democrats are turning out as NIMBYs in that situation. You know, not in my backyard. It's a really great project, all levels of affordability. You know, it's like one of those really affordable ones, not like the 80% of it, 15%, all that nonsense. It's the real deal.
Somebody brought in the chat that there are 10,000 more registered Democratic voters in Mount Vernon than the winner in the last election. And I want to also bring up, again, aren't you guys exhausted with voting for the lesser of two evils?
Exactly.
I enjoyed that for at least one election. God, I only got to vote for myself once. So the only other time I really got to do it was for Jamaal Bowman, man. I'm tired of voting for the lesser of two evils. And let me tell you, for my generation, I'm an elder millennial. That's what my peers and younger than me call me. I'm an elder millennial. We need to raise up the next generations, but they're already fed up. Because think about it, with social media, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's the access to information. We are perpetually inundated with elected officials who are not doing the simple job of affordable housing or home ownership, feeding us healthy food, keeping our environment healthy, keeping our water clean, keeping us asbestos clean, keeping us rat-free. Like, all of these things are compounding, and they're losing hope before they even had it in the first place. But you have the opportunity in this election to point them in the direction of you finally, or at least, first, somebody at Jamaal's rally, when he announced, one of the gentlemen just turned 18. He said, I am excited as I think he was gay and Jewish. He was like, I'm excited as a gay Jewish young person. That's Generation Alpha, I think he was. He said, I am excited that my first vote that I will get to cast as a voter is for Jamaal Bowman. We need that energy. Rhetoric does matter. Saying what you say does matter.
Exactly. Right.
It's not just about passing laws, although he does. It's not just about proposing them, which he does. It's not about just what you vote against, which is what he does too. And it's about bringing through the financing. But number one thing is words matter. That's what draws people out. Words are how you declare war. You understand? Words are how you sue for peace. That's the suit. So words matter, and I'm not going to be voting for silence in June. And I hope that everybody in the chat does not vote for silence, and anybody that supports it or endorses it, write it down, take notes, because it needs to be remembered either way the election turns out.
That's right. That's right.
I want to say so. A lot of people that are supporting George Latimer, they've texted and left comments about what Jamaal has not done, and so and you keep speaking about affordable housing. So when Rob Astorino was county executive, the county was sued. HUD sued the county for the lack of having enough affordable housing in Westchester County. Now that we have a Democratic uh, county executive and it's not much better, why aren't we doing the same thing? Was it just because he was Republican? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the situation of affordable housing is not much better in the county, to be honest. So we're talking about what people haven't done, and I just wanted to point that out. That I still don't see it being any for the affordable housing situation is. I don't know if it's worse, but it damn sure ain't better.
Jump in there.
Oh, don't get me started on that. But how about police? how about police reform too? How about?
Absolutely. Well, that's a rally point for us.
This is what I don't understand. This is another thing I don't understand. Like, dude, like you're going into this with not a good history on these issues for Black people, and I was on the police reform task force, right? But here's the thing: when we met, when George first got in, myself, I think it was Indivisible, and the NAACP, the Urban League, I would get off at work at 7:00 in a.m. I would go at 9:15. We was meeting at the county exec's in office. Stay there for 2. I didn't get out till like 11:30. I'm still in uniform. They ain't asked me to fill out a green sheet, right? We did this for 6-7 months. Then all of a sudden it faded away, and they started. That's when whatchamacallit came down with this police reform task force, the Governor Cuomo. We ended up with everything that we gave them when we was just meeting. It didn't anything change. Like I was like, y'all wasting my time. Like literally. And then I was on the task force and we're meeting and Zoom meetings and all this. And then we came up and then they didn't barely follow through with anything other than the crisis team, right?
Yeah, health response. Yeah.
And then you have to opt into that. What we're still waiting for, George, Ken, is a countywide civilian complaint review board, which was part of the recommendations. Also part of the recommendations was to make sure that the police in the academy do 2 weeks in the Westchester County Jail, because Westchester County Jail is trained in dealing with de-escalation far more better than the police are.
Because you're not armed. Because you're not armed.
Exactly.
And you're there with 60 inmates too.
Right. Westchester County Jail is nationally accredited. There's only one police department, and that's Scarsdale, that's nationally accredited. Right. So they interviewed at that time my Captain Bowler, Patty Bowler, because she was in charge of training. And we could not understand how corrections can train almost 800 officers every year, and these police departments barely have 200.
Right.
and can't make sure that they're properly trained on a national on national standards, not
And
state minimum standards.
on top of what you're saying, Damon, because for anybody and again, they're gonna set up straw men all of the time to distract us from what we actually have to do to win this thing.
Right.
But anybody that's talking about what legislation was and was not passed, I cannot stress it enough that the moniker for Congress isn't just the body that passes laws. The moniker for Congress is the purse strings of America. And our poverty is showing when we only talk about what legislation is passed and not what money came back down through the pipeline.
Exactly.
Again, it's about government. I've been saying it all week, actually, because I've been speaking in different places that have called me. And I bring up JFK. Ask not what your country could do for you. Ask what you could do for your country. And that sounds very self-sacrificing until you realize in parentheses that at the end of that, because whatever you do for your country, there's a really hefty government contract behind it if you ask for it.
Right.
They don't put that. They don't put that. That's not in the quote. JFK never. Let me finish JFK's quote.
Right.
Because there's a very hefty government contract behind it. That's why we're talking about what money we're sending to other nations. That's why we're talking about what Joe Biden is willing to spring up out of nowhere as we are looking for affordable housing to seat the people right here in Westchester in New York that we've lost. 110,000 again. I just want to remind everybody. We have, I think we've created one unit of new housing for every 20 jobs that have been created in this state for the last decade.
That's horrible. And that's horrible. And look, me and my wife
of America.
we had to come up to here to Middletown.
Sorry, but the bag, we got to fight for the bag.
Yeah, we have to fight. We have to fight for the bag, and we have to fight for proper housing, because it doesn't make any sense that majority of county workers don't even live in the county.
Right.
Because they can't afford.
Not that they don't live, can't afford to.
Right. Because they can't. Me and my wife, we had to go up. We had to come to get a brand new home in Westchester, brand new.
Look at the list, Damon. Look at the county's list. You'll see that short little blurb for the condos and co-op developments that have been passed. And again.
It's
there's a long list of the rentals, but again, it's not George's fault alone. It's a compilation. It's a comprehensive thing that needs to be done on every level. So we wouldn't be putting him in the conversation except for the fact that you were then going to say you were going to go to the most contentious body of modern time and be one out of 435 people in the House and one out of 535 people in Congress overall. And you are going to galvanize the people to change America all of a sudden, being silent on the issues that we demand you to be loud about.
Exactly. And the question is, how are you going down there and saying all that, and you wasn't the same way when we was dealing with giving women maternity leave for the county? You didn't. You wasn't. And I know for a fact, because my sister Brooke Jones was putting it to him in the press. And then they just want to say, well, it has to be negotiated through like the bargaining agreement. What? You don't even reach that. That's no respect of women, because most of the unions are just men. Men negotiating it.
Former county legislator Chris Johnson, his legislative aide, had to use her sick time or her time after she had her baby, because they don't have no maternity leave. She had to use her personal time. And then come back early because she only had a certain amount of time. You know what I'm saying? And we talking about the same building. We're not even talking about
exactly. And then you want to pull this for Black people.
One floor below.
Majority of ones that are single mothers are Black women. So they can't fall back on their husbands. You understand what I'm saying? They got to deal with that themselves. And then you don't want to do that. But then you want to be the champion for Black people? Why don't you be a champion for Black people at where you have the power at right now?
I'm going to add something for my Hispanic brothers and sisters as well, because we haven't really discussed that enough.
Go ahead.
Yeah. anything, and you know, you learn this in different immigrant communities when you come into the United States. You'll learn this over time. You might not believe it at first, but if you learn anything about American history, you will definitely learn this. Anything that is done to the Black community will eventually be done to everyone.
Right.
Anything
Exactly.
that is, so if you have an appointment in Yonkers, if you have somebody elected at the county, anything that is done to the Black community to unseat us will eventually become policy that will inevitably be used against your community as well.
Thank you, Evelyn.
Unless you're willing to sacrifice all of your politics.
Right. Exactly. Exactly, brother. Exactly, man.
Thank you, Leonie. Yo, I just want to end. Damien, you got any last words?
Nah, brother. I think that whoever watches this really Shanice Coleman, shout out to Brooke Jones. That's right. That's right. So you know, I think anybody's watching this need to sit down and think. You know, and we're not dealing with feelings. We're not dealing with feelings, we're dealing with facts. And we have to look at it. Of course, there are going to be those that they're not going to care because they think they're going to be on the winning team. But then we're not talking to you. We're this like these issues you address impact us all as Democrats. And absolutely, and I think, you know, as AJ said, you know, me and Reggie bumped heads. We bumped heads so bad, News 12 had to report about it. But at the end of the day, in the respect for his love for the Democratic Party, what we're seeing here, he has to be turning over in his grave to see what's happening to his party. And brother, we're going to talk offline, Shane, because we're going to get that letter together.
And let's get more discussions like these, because we have 6 months. We got to drag people out kicking and screaming to the polls, please.
Absolutely. Right. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of a series of conversations. And I just want to end the way I start. We covered a lot of things in this, the basis for this conversation. And I just wrote an article about it, about the attempted GOP takeover of the Democratic Party. It's giving you the organizations, the people, their websites and everything. You know, there is fractions of the MAGA Republicans that are attempting to spend a lot of money and encourage all of their people to switch from Republican to Democrat to vote Bowman out. There are some of your Democrats that believe Bowman need to get voted out, and you have that right. But what we don't have the right is for the Republicans to come in and dictate to, in our Democratic primary, who we vote for and who we don't vote for, or who wins the primary. You know what I'm saying? So be careful, pay attention. They're handing out cards. They're putting it on websites. They're telling their people when to switch. And it wasn't just the organizations. There's a member of the New Rochelle synagogue. He encouraged all his people, and the quotes in there and everything. He encouraged all his people to go switch, all the Republicans to switch their party for this election. He's specific, so they can vote Jamaal Bowman out. The Republicans have no right to come in and dictate the wishes of the Democratic voters.
And it's happening at the district leader level too. That's what's happening.
It was a district leader at Rochelle, and I know about that. Some district leaders.
Nobody wanted to be a district leader before. Now everybody wants to be a district leader all of a sudden. We couldn't get people out to be a district leader.
And this is what I'm saying. This is going to happen all throughout Westchester.
Yes.
This is going to happen all throughout Westchester.
To everybody.
And they're going to control the party. And if people don't want to see it, you know, I mean, look, it's going to happen. But I'm fearing for young brothers like you, sincere brothers. I've seen so many sincere brothers and sisters at the Black Dems And if we don't stand up to this, it won't be a party for y'all anymore.
Right. A lot of people feel that way already.
Absolutely.
Because this even happened, some people feel that way already.
Exactly.
Because it even could happen, some people feel this way.
Exactly. It's very serious, man. It's very serious, and we're going to keep addressing it.
Yes,
we're going to keep addressing it, and it's nothing is personal, you know. But you're not going to if they're able to say community over party, I'm able to say black people over party. Fuck it.
I love it.
Saying it.
No
Because
doubt.
if you call me anti-Semitic, I'm gonna call you anti-black.
Representation matters.
Exactly, and we're gonna hold that, It's not personal. It's about my people having a voice, and if I feel that is something that's being suppressed, I'm going to speak on it, and I don't care who feelings I hurt.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm here for it.
All right, brother.
With that,
she's always at the front lines. I just got elected, so let's give Ronnie a little time, and you know, I'll be the loudmouth for a little bit. Like, I have no problem with that because it's real.
Yeah,
it means everything.
Absolutely, and this has been our season premiere of the 2024 season.
We're starting out with a bang.
We're back, baby. We're back. Black Westchester presents the People's World Politics Radio Show.
This is ginger juice. I ain't drinking nothing crazy.
This is the season premiere of Black Westchester presents the People Before Politics Radio Show. They're giving you real talk for the community since 2014. Until next week, we're out. Oh, we got a couple of things coming out that Shane, you might be interested in. Jarrell Garrett's father is going to be on one of the next shows. He is finally breaking his silence, and he has called me, and he will definitely be on. Maybe see if we can get him on next week, the second hour next week or something. But he's definitely he's ready to speak, and he's had it. So he's going to be speaking. Until next time, peace.
Peace out.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. Today, and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it.